Welcome to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, the #1 podcast and resource for Black entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and Black Entrepreneur Blueprint was created specifically to educate and inspire Black entrepreneurs to launch, build, and grow successful, sustainable businesses. Join us as we help build an economic power base in the worldwide Black community by building and supporting Black-owned businesses. If you're currently an entrepreneur or want to be an entrepreneur, you're invited to join us each and every week here at Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Welcome to the BEB family and get ready to elevate your entrepreneur IQ. Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, episode number 577. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and today we have another outstanding and informative show in store for you. Today's show topic is 5 quick ways to position your business for success. 5 quick ways to position your business for success. Now, if your business isn't positioned properly, it can actually kill your business. You're going to have to do twice as much work to get half of the results. So positioning is the key, guys. You have to position it. And I'm going to give you 5 quick ways today that you can implement immediately to help position your business for maximum efficiency and success. Now, before we get to today's show content, let me just share a few things with the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint family. First and foremost, I want to welcome all first-time listeners to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Welcome to the BEB family. Please stick around until the end of today's broadcast, and I'm going to share all my social media contact information and resource links, such as the link to the new revised, revamped website, blackentrepreneurblueprint.com. Guys, make sure you take advantage of the website. Go to blackentrepreneurblueprint.com, hit the Learn tab. It is a drop-down, and in that drop-down, we have all types of content to help you move from point A to point B. We have marketing, strategy and mindset, scaling your business, e-commerce, everything you need to help elevate your entrepreneur IQ. So make sure you go to the website, blackentrepreneurblueprint.com, and get all of the free resources that we have on the site. Also, to all you first-time listeners, we drop a new episode every Monday morning at 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on all your major podcast platforms and YouTube. So wherever you're listening to this episode or watching it, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Now, let's get ready for today's show content. So today we're going to talk about 5 quick ways to position your business for success. And I'm actually going to give you some real life examples with my new mortgage company. And it's all about positioning. And I had a great conversation with one of my friends the other day, and he said, man, why do you want to, position your company? He didn't use that word, but why do you want to target these particular types of customers? And I had to break it down to him, and I'm going to break that down to you guys today also. So the biggest issue, guys, is when you don't have a target audience or a target market and you're not positioned as anything, you're positioned as nothing. Right. So the old saying is, if you sell to everybody, you sell to nobody. Right. Because you need to have some type of positioning. So when I talked on previous episodes about high end products or high end service businesses. So when you go to the store and you're looking for high end headphones, you're going to look for Beats or something similar to Beats. Now, when you buy those Beats headphones, there's an experience that goes with those headphones. It's a positioning. So you can go and buy the high-end headphones that come in a nicely packaged case. If anybody has bought in Beats, you know how they're packaged in a nice decorative box, a high-end box. They have all types of visuals, information, and data in the box. Or you can buy the low-end headphones that come in a plastic clamshell. It's all about positioning. And what I will tell you is, guys, many times the positioning is only based on the packaging. And here's a real life example. So years ago, when I had my condom business, we used to work with a clothing manufacturer out of Brooklyn that would produce our hats and t-shirts and other apparel that we had to go along with our condom brand. And while I was in the manufacturing facility one day talking to the owner and the owner's son, they were actually doing or producing trench coats. And this was in the early to mid 90s. So they were producing the same exact trench coat, and they were going into two piles after they were sewn and manufactured. One pile got a London Fog label on the back of the coat, and the other pile got a JCPenney label on the back of the coat. Same exact product, but the London Fog coat sold for about $400 to $450. The JCPenney coat sold for probably about $100 to $150. It's positioning. London Fog had positioned itself as a high-end brand. So some of you guys out there that are stuck on high-end brands, you know all about positioning. So if you're out there buying Gucci, Louboutins, whatever, high-end stuff, it's all about how they position their product. And that is a key, because literally the same manufacturer that manufactures a lot of these high-end goods that you guys are spending your money on manufactures the exact same product on a lower end without the brand label. The exact same product. So we're caught up here in the United States and in North America with positioning or branding. What does it look like? So if you're so super intent on making sure you're buying the right brands, you need to make sure you know how to position your own brand. If you're an entrepreneur, it's key. Positioning is key. I always talk about price, perception, and positioning. If your price is not right, or it's not aligned to the perception of your product or service and the positioning of your product or service, then you're not going to sell. So when you go to the store and you look for Beats headphones, you're looking at, hey, you know, it's a certain price level. The position is a high-end headphone. All right. And once again, the perception is good quality. Now, if you went to the same electronics store and you saw a pair of clamshell headphones that were priced the same as the Beats headphones, guess what? Those things aren't aligned. The pricing, the perception, and the actual positioning are not aligned. And when those three things are not aligned, you're not going to make sales. That's how key and important positioning is. So we're going to jump into 5 quick ways that you can position your business for success. And you can do that immediately with most of these 5 things I'm going to give you. All right. So also, like I said, I'm going to give you a real life example with my mortgage company, as I just started a new mortgage company and I've actually positioned it to be a niche type of mortgage business. But speaking of niche, number 1, niche down to stand out. Niche down to stand out when you're positioning. All right. Why it works. So when you try to serve everyone, you actually are serving no one. I said that before. So specializing, guys, allows you to dominate a category rather than get lost in a crowd. So you want to be able to dominate a category. So, for example, instead of being a general marketing agency, you could position yourself as a growth partner for Black-owned e-commerce brands that are making over, just say, $10,000 a month. So that's very specific. So you're reaching out and speaking directly to Black e-commerce brands doing $10,000 a month. What does it do? It narrows your focus. It's a niche, right? So here's an action step. Identify that underserved niche where your product or service can dominate. Where's an underserved niche that your product or service can dominate, and then craft your messaging specifically for them. I always talk about micro messaging. You can sell the same product, but the conversation to a different vertical may be different. So once again, if you're selling insoles to field hockey players, that conversation is going to be totally different than selling shoe insoles to waiters and wait staff people, right? Totally different conversation. The benefits are pretty much the same, but the conversation is different. What are the benefits for a field hockey player? Oh, now you can run faster, score more goals, be more productive, win more games. The conversation with somebody that's a wait staff person is, hey, you're able to, serve all day, smile on your face because your feet aren't hurting, which correlates into higher tips because you're in a better mood and more cheerful. Same product, different conversation. So niching down to stand out. That's super important. So with my mortgage business, right, I focus on 4 verticals: athletes, entertainers, entrepreneurs, and real estate investors. Now, does that mean I don't work with, first-time home buyers, people that are, buying their first home, or they don't fall into those 4 categories? No, because if I get referrals, I'll work with anybody. But I had to niche down in order to separate myself. And you're probably saying, well, man, there's not a lot of pro athletes you're going to do business with, not a lot of entertainers you're going to probably do business with. Entrepreneurs is my thing, but I do have a connection through my contacts, my CPA, my cousin. I have a couple good friends that are sports agents. My cousin is a sports agent. My CPA is connected to a whole lot of connected people. And so I do and have done loans for professional athletes and entertainers before, and that is a niche. And the thing is, I know I'm not going to do 10 loans a month with them, but that is a niche. My real big niche is really entrepreneurs and real estate investors, which are also entrepreneurs. So when you're an entrepreneur, you don't have the standard custom W-2 income. So many times your income is going to be fluctuating based on your business. And also, in order to buy properties, you have to understand that market. And me being a serial entrepreneur for 25 plus years, I understand the market. So we may have to do some alternative type financing, like bank statement financing. It's funny, I was just working with a young lady that is in the adult entertainment space. She's a dancer. They get most of their money through tips. She's making great money, has been making great money for years. But you can't go to the bank and say, to Wells Fargo or one of these standard banks, and say, hey, this is my business, I need a loan. But we can use bank statements, 4 months, 3 months bank statements. We can use the deposits. So these are different niches that I'm able to speak to, right? So once again, mine are athletes, entertainers, entrepreneurs, and real estate investors. I speak those languages because I've done loans in those spaces and those verticals for years. And as an entrepreneur and a real estate investor, I know what I'm looking for and what I'm looking at, and I know what needs to be done to get the loans done. So number 1, and we're talking about 5 quick ways to position your business for success. Niche down to stand out. I'm having a conversation with my buddy, and he's like, man, you want to do that? I'm like, yeah, bro. Because in order to do that allows you to go deeper. You want to go deeper, not wider. So another live example, real life example, is with the podcast. When I initially started this concept of the podcast, it was called The Entrepreneur Advantage, and it was on regular radio in Philadelphia on an AM station. And at the time, I said, you know what? There's so much competition out here. I need to niche down to a specific or something that I can stand out in. And that's when I left the terrestrial radio, and I started back in the day, they called it internet radio, which is podcasting. And I said, you know what? I need to be able to speak to a niche. I'm Black. I'm an entrepreneur. I want to help my people. So that's how Black Entrepreneur Blueprint came from the Entrepreneur Advantage. It actually morphed into that after about 1.5 years or 2 years. And so once again, that allowed me to niche down. All right. So you need to understand who your avatar is. Who do you want to serve? All right. Number 2, build a unique value proposition. You hear this all the time. What is your unique value proposition? Why it works? Your unique value proposition, it's a clear reason someone should choose you over a competitor. So if it's not obvious in under 10 seconds, you lose that customer. So for example, I help athletes, entertainers, entrepreneurs, and real estate investors find custom mortgage solutions for their individual situations. All right. Pretty much simple, unique value proposition. So it could be something like this. We help real estate investors who got denied for DSCR loans secure funding in 14 days without tax returns, right? That's something super specific, unique value proposition, right? I'm going to read that one again. We help real estate investors who got denied for DSCR loans secure funding in 14 days without tax returns. So here's some of the action steps. Refine your unique value proposition until it's crystal clear. It's benefit driven and it speaks directly to a pain point. Let me repeat that. Your action step is to refine your unique value proposition until it is crystal clear. Once again, it's benefit driven and it speaks directly to a pain point. What pain point are you solving? We help real estate investors who got denied for DSCR loans secure funding in 14 days without tax returns. Perfect. Okay. So that's number 2, building a unique value proposition. And we're talking about 5 quick ways to position your business for success. Number 3, leverage social proof early and often. Leverage social proof early and often. Why it works. So people trust other people more than they trust brands. So reviews, testimonials, case studies, and media mentions all build up trust. Now, I know a lot of times people say, well, hey, I just started this business. How can I get testimonials if I haven't done this yet? So the first thing you want to do is, if you started your own business, but you were in this business before, and say you were a loan officer with another company and you helped, 25 people out last year or last month or whatever, you can ask them for testimonials on you particularly and you specifically, right? So that's a way to do it. Also, another way to do it to get testimonials is, if you haven't done it before, provide your work or product or service for free. Let people sample it. And I'm telling you right now, a lot of times, oh man, I'm not making money. I'm going to give you a real life example of this too. And this is what I used to tell a lot of my e-commerce students. So when you start out and try to create an e-commerce brand, you have no reviews, right? Nobody or no verified reviews. And I'm talking specifically on Amazon. And so without those reviews, guys, if you don't have 4 stars or more on Amazon, you're not going to really sell product at all. You need to have at least 4 stars on Amazon. But how do you get those reviews if you haven't sold anything? So you have a marketing budget. You should have one anyway. So many times people they'll allocate money for advertising and all that good stuff. So I said, this is what you need to do. You need to allocate X amount of units of your physical product as advertising/marketing. So you want to give those out to people so they can sample and actually use your product or service. Now, you don't get the money for the product that you gave away for free. But once again, it's just like spending money on advertising. So you need to understand that social proof early and often is going to help you be able to scale and grow and position your business, right? So for example, feature video testimonials from your best clients on your landing page or on your Instagram page or anywhere that they're going to go. You want to have feature video testimonials. Now, here's some action steps. You want to actively request and use testimonials in your content and sales page from day one. So however you have to get it, right? And this is what I used to do with Amazon. I would actually, and I know it's gaming the system, but I would actually, number one, do what I did. I'd send out free samples. But then what I would also do is I would tell my family, friends, and relatives and people in some of my groups, hey, go ahead and buy my product and I'll reimburse you for it after you leave a review. Now, what happens is I used to give people the money to buy the product, which is against Amazon's terms of service. So I told them, no, go ahead and buy the product, leave me a review, and then I'll credit you or give you some money to cover that. And once you start, if you're on Amazon and you get about 5 to 10, anything over 10 to 15 5-star reviews, that can kickstart your business. So once again, leverage social proof early and often. And the way that you get that social proof, guys, is you got to ask people. You have to ask them. So you want to under promise and over deliver. Number 4, you want to own a signature process or framework. Own a signature process or framework. Why it works. So when you create a proprietary system, it positions you as an expert, and it also gives prospects something tangible to believe in, right? So I have a system called Get Mortgage Ready. I don't use it too much now, but when I used to deal a lot with first-time home buyers, they didn't understand the process. So I had a framework and a system. I had a book. I had videos, and it was Get Mortgage Ready. Go through if you're not quite ready yet, or this is your first time you're buying a home. This is my process or my framework, and I named it. You need to name it something. So it's your proprietary system, right? Something that you've created that separates you and your company from everybody else in your field, okay? So for example, if you're a business coach, you can offer the 7-day launch ready framework to take an idea to income in 30 days. Okay, that's an example of a signature process or framework, the 7-day launch ready framework. And what does it do? It helps take you from an idea to income in 30 days. So here's an action step on that, right? An action step on owning a signature process or framework. Package your expertise, guys, into a repeatable method or framework that clients can follow. Package your expertise into a repeatable method or framework that your clients can follow. It could be a PDF. It could be a check sheet, checklist. It could be a video tutorial. Whatever that framework or process is, you need to make it proprietary. Own a signature process or framework. That's number 4. And number 5, when we're talking about 5 quick ways to position your business for success, build a brand, not just a business. Build a brand, not just a business. So why does this work? Now, people buy from businesses they connect with emotionally. A brand with a voice, mission, and values creates loyalty. So how many of you guys are in love with a specific brand, or you cater to that brand? You may only buy, or you may prefer Nike sneakers over Adidas. You may prefer this type of iced tea over another type of iced tea. It's brand building. Brand building is not having you particularly as the face of the brand, but the brand itself. Okay, Phil Knight, the owner of Nike, isn't on every commercial. You can you rarely see him at all, but the brand is huge. Okay, so there's personal branding and there's also business branding. All right, build a brand, not just a business. So why this works? Once again, people buy from businesses they connect with emotionally. A brand with a voice, mission, and values creates loyalty. So I forgot the name of the shoe company that used to buy one pair of shoes and they donate another pair of shoes, but they have a mission. So that brand needs to create that mission. All right. Now, here's an example. My mortgage company isn't just about getting you money, right? It's about empowering lifestyle freedom for entrepreneurs, entertainers, athletes, and real estate investors. It's about empowering lifestyle freedom for athletes, entertainers, entrepreneurs, and real estate investors. Okay, so clarify some of the action steps, guys. Clarify your brand story, values, and voice, and infuse it into every touch point, be it your emails, your visuals, social media, and customer service. So here's an action step. I'm going to repeat this. Clarify your brand story, values, and voice, and infuse it into every touch point, including emails, visuals, social content, and customer service. Nike, just do it, right? So you see that all over the place. So this is about building a brand, guys, and positioning your brand and your business for success. Now, before I get to the last segment of the show, guys, let me just share all my social media contact information and resource links. Everything I'm about to tell you guys is on the website, So make sure you utilize it. Go to blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com, hit that Learn tab, and all of the resources that you need, free resources to help you move your business from point A to point B are there. All right. So if you need to get in contact with me, guys, anything long, hit me on my email, jayjones@blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com, JAYJONES@blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com, Facebook, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, Instagram, I have 2 IG accounts. Jay Jones for real is the first one, JAYJONES, the number 4, REAL. Second one is Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. LinkedIn, just go to LinkedIn, search for Jay Jones, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Connect with me there. YouTube, I have additional content on YouTube that is not on the show. Yes, the show does come out on YouTube, but I have additional content there. So make sure you go to YouTube, type in Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, and hit that subscribe button. Also, Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, you can connect with me there at jjones001, JAYJONES001. And once again, for all of my new and first-time listeners, we drop a new episode every Monday morning, 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on all your major podcast platforms and YouTube. So make sure wherever you're watching this or listening to it that you hit the subscribe button. Now, let's finish up with today's content. So what we talked about today, guys, is basically the power of positioning and 5 quick ways to position your business for success. So hustle alone doesn't build an empire, guys. I'm telling you, you have to be strategic. And what I want you to remember, that your price, perception, and positioning all must be aligned in order for you to make sales. Your price, your perception, and your positioning must all be aligned. Is your pricing, are you a high-end product or service? All right, so your price needs to reflect that. The perception that people have of your product or service, is it perceived as what it's priced at? So if you have a high-end, if you're priced at a high-end and you're perceived as a high-end product or service, that's great. And you have to be positioned as a high-end product or service. So if you try to sell a Timex watch, no knock on Timex, but for $15,000, guess what? The pricing, perception, and positioning are not aligned, right? So the pricing of Timex watches are nowhere near that. So that's bad. The perception is they're okay pieces of watches or timepieces, but they're not top of the line. So you struck out on that. And also positioning. You haven't positioned Timex to be a high-end timepiece. Price, perception, positioning. They have to be aligned. And I'm talking about from your packaging, if it's a physical product, from down to your pricing and the perception. And so, for example, with my hair flat iron business, I created a high-end brand out of thin air. But how did I do that? My website, my verbiage, my packaging. So people are like, oh, I don't want to spend a lot of money on my packaging. If you're a high-end brand, you need to have high-end packaging. So I had a cousin who has a cognac company, and initially it's a high-end cognac. But initially when it came out, he sent me a sample, and the box was like super flimsy. And I'm like, bruh, you can't sell cognac for that price in a box looking like that. It may cost you $1 or $2 more per box to create, but the value of the perception is going to align with the positioning or how you're trying to position that product. So even if you have to spend a little more for the quality or the materials or whatever, if it's a high-end brand, then it needs to be supported by the price, perception, and positioning. Your website. So if you just Google luxury watches and you start looking at the different websites, all of the websites look high-end. They're usually black, black or white, very, subtle, nothing crazy, no crazy colors, but it just oozes quality, right? And it's funny, while I was working on my new mortgage business website, I started looking at luxury watch websites to give me some examples. And once again, it's not, I can do everything and I can work with anybody. And I do work with different verticals. But my 4 main verticals are athletes, entertainers, entrepreneurs, and real estate investors. And the reason I chose them, number one, I am an entrepreneur, so I understand that. Okay, I'm a real estate investor, so I understand that vertical. And with the athletes and athletes and entertainers, I have connections in those markets. So, and I've been doing those type of loans for, over 20 years. So I've done a lot of athletes. I've done a lot of entertainers. Once again, I've done a ton of entrepreneurs and I've done a ton of real estate investors. So I understand those markets. But in order to connect with that market, I have to position myself and my business in there where everything is aligned. Okay? I'm not going to necessarily be the cheapest. I'm not racing to the bottom in terms of my cost as a mortgage company, right? I got to get paid. Everybody deserves the right to get paid. And so I know when I niche down or focus on a specific avatar, there's certain things that I know are going to be true for my avatar. Number one, the cost or the loan amounts are probably on average are higher than if I was a generalist. Okay. I'm talking professional athletes, entertainers, entrepreneurs, and real estate investors. I also know with real estate investors, they usually buy multiple properties, right? So my objective as a boutique mortgage shop, I'm not looking to be Rocket Mortgage or Wells Fargo Mortgage. I want to do several loans a month that are high loan amounts and be able to manage the flow and also my customer base. Okay. So I understand what type of business I am. I'm a boutique mortgage company that found a hole basically in the marketplace where these are the verticals that I specialize in. So once again, it's positioning and everything has to be aligned. I can't be on the website wearing a Nike t-shirt, shorts, and flip-flops, right? That's not positioning correctly. So, once again, got suited and booted on the website. And so once again, guys, understand the power of positioning and use these 5 quick tips or quick ways to position your business for success. Take the time to do it. Understand if you're a high-end, mid-level, or entry-level type product or service-based business. Niche down. Who is your target market? If you're a CPA, who's your target audience? Who's your number one most profitable client? Maybe it's entrepreneurs. Maybe it's real estate investors. So you have to understand and start doing the math, guys. Start understanding and looking at your data. And I always talk about having a database, but look at your data and your sales numbers. Is there a commonality of who brings in the most sales? What type of person? What age group? What demographic? What occupation? Whatever it is. And find out what your true avatar is if you don't know it. Sometimes we step over the dollars to pick up dimes, right? Because we really don't know where our money is coming from, where our bread is buttered. And that's where you have to dive into and delve into your numbers and your data. The money is in the data, family. The money is in the data. You got to understand that. You better recognize and understand that. Now, I could do another 35 minutes on that alone, but it's time to shut it down today, right? 4th of July is about to come up. I'm about to start traveling a little bit. But I say this each and every week, family, because it is true. We get more and more downloads because of you, the BEB family. I appreciate you guys so much. Please continue to spread the word about the podcast, the blog, the online courses, the books, the whole BEB ecosystem designed to help you elevate your entrepreneur IQ. Remember, it's not about me. It's not about you. It's about us. It's about building an economic power base in the worldwide Black community by building and supporting Black-owned businesses. Love you guys. See you same time next week. Peace.